I want to welcome two people to the talk show now. First of all, Katie is joining us. Katie New, co-founder of Bullying Canada. Thanks for joining us again, Katie.
Thanks for having me again.
And Ed Kaspar is joining us. Ed, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks, Bill. I'm a retired attorney living in Chicago.
And the reason we're talking is because you have written a book.
Yes, Bill, thanks. I wrote Bullying Decoded, The Economics of Abuse. This book takes a look at the character of the bully and tries to dissect him under a pretty bright light and find out why he's doing what he's doing and what we can do about it.
Jake Gamble down there in Brantford was repeatedly bullied by the same kid, multiple concussions. And I think the issue there raised for Jake and his family, Katie in this case, is the fact that he's in the educational system. This has happened before, and nothing really gets done. Is that right?
Pretty much. What happened was he's had concussions before, as he said, but there was an incident in February where he actually lost consciousness because of an incident. He was pushed to the ground. The school did nothing about it until his mom threatened to contact the police, and she was then banned from the school property, and his 6-year-old sister had to go to a new school.
We have talked about the fact that a lot of school boards now, at least they publish or they say or they give lip service to the fact that they have some kind of what they call a zero tolerance policy. Yes,
and this school in particular has said that bullying isn't tolerated, and if a complaint is taken seriously and investigated.
In some ways, I think there's a couple of issues there when it comes to school boards. Number one, in many ways, their hands are kind of tied because let's flip the situation around. You have a parent who has a child who was indulged, let's say, and their behavior was not corrected, maybe the way it should be when they were growing up. And now you have the kid is in school, he's acting out, she's acting out, whatever, not treating the people around them properly at all. And the school, sends a letter home or calls home or whatever. And a lot of times the first thing that happens is the helicopter mom or the helicopter dad paratroops in there, and it's like, my son would never do anything like that. These parents all of a sudden get defensive and then want to go on the offensive. So now the school boards are in a position where we have to protect ourselves from these parents, because if we actually say something plainly and clearly about the behavior of the children, we're going to get attacked back. So now we have to defend ourselves. So now we have that wall that's been erected. Plus, we have the societal pressure on the school board to not discipline at all. We don't want to do that. We want to coddle the children. We want to empower them. We want to build them up and blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? And so then when you have a serious incident like this, the parents go to the school board. They're already in almost preventative anti-litigation mode or something. Would you agree with that, Katie?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say.
Ed, what do you think of that?
I think you summed it up beautifully, Bill. The problem is the school board. If anyone's going to do anything about it, it has to be the schools, because they have them there under their supervision, and they know who's doing it, and they should be held responsible for what's happening under their watch and what they know about. But you're absolutely right. They're trying to get out from under, and that's something that should change.
I want to talk to Ed now because his book is called Bullying Decoded, The Economics of Abuse. What you want to do is you want to get underneath this a little bit. You want to take a look at it more from the perspective of what causes people to victimize someone else in the first place. Is that right?
Yes, I believe that's a key. If we could understand, that would help us. But we fundamentally don't need to understand. We just need to know who's doing it. But if we can understand that it's essentially, we believe, a lack of self-esteem that drives people to seek out others and hurt them because it gives them a fundamental thrill. They have a lack of self-esteem, so they pick out someone like Jake Gamble, and they whack him, and then they laugh. They feel better.
It's funny. I don't mean to interrupt, because I have heard some experts say that, and there are some people that say that idea that the bully lacks self-esteem, and that's why they act out on someone weaker than them. And I've heard some experts say that, in fact, no, what you've got with a bully is someone who is so narcissistic that they feel that it's okay for them to attack somebody else. And you know what? You can have kind of both in the same package is what I'm saying.
Agreed. It's a serial thing. They're always usually the same guys. I just go back to my childhood. I remember the ones who were doing the bullying, we referred to them as punks, but it was always the same guys. They weren't the stand-up fellas who were on the teams or on the chess club or in the glee club. They weren't those guys. You knew who they were. It's a transaction they take from us, Bill. It's like they walk up from behind us and say, scream boo, and you feel worse and he feels better. And it's almost like taking cash from one account and putting it in the other. It's a transaction. Mm-hmm. And he's hooked on it. Most of us, if we have a self-esteem issue, we deal with it internally. I have self-esteem issues. I think everybody does, but we deal with them. These guys have to go out, hurt someone else, and then that makes them feel better. And I agree about the narcissistic angle, Bill.
Yeah, where they at the core have a self-loathing or a self-hatred, and the drive to hurt, I think, comes from that self-hatred, that self-loathing inside. Would you agree with that, Ed?
Absolutely. And I tried to bring some humor into the book. I developed what we called the Quotient exam, which is a quotient of self-loathing. And we suggest in a humorous way that people who take this test and have high quotient scores demonstrate this self-loathing in their core, which we need to know about. And now, if we could get a number, that'd be great. And so we try to bring a little humor. But your self-loathing is right on the money. That's what we're talking about here.
Okay. 30, 40, 50 years ago, we didn't have the same kind of bullying because we had not neutered the school at the time. They could at least deal with an issue when it came up. If you did the crime, you did the time in the school. We've taken away the consequence.
Yep.
That's what I think. That's why we're having such a problem now, I think, anyway.
I absolutely agree that the school systems are in a quandary. I think you mentioned that. They're having a hard enough time doing what they're doing, and they don't know how to deal with the bullying thing. And so they're kind of circling the wagons and hoping for the best. And what they need is a comprehensive plan to hold these guys responsible, guys and gals responsible, because now with the Internet, anybody can be a bully. And we bring that out in our book. But the school system, I think, would just have to get their arms around this and identify who's doing it and talk about it in class and get it out there.
So listen, Ed, you're a retired attorney. What first of all, what motivated you to want to write Bullying Decoded?
Friends who remembered my first book, which was The Economics of Abuse, which a lot of people liked, and they thought, hey, Ed, what you were writing about back there, it has a lot to do with this bullying thing that's happening now. And I got the book out and I said, you're right. And I said, let's do what we can with this concept that we have here and throw it out there and see if it can help somebody here or there. And we've had a few reports that people are getting some relief because they know who is doing something to them and why they were doing it.
If we could get the situation rectified with the school boards, then that would help at least a bit.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. That's where you have to bring pressure. Families can do it as well and gather together. And I had a family member who was actually assaulted yesterday. Oh. And a wonderful 7th grade girl, I'd seen her recently, just a picture of happiness. And the kid had his thumbs in her throat on the school bus.
Oh, my gosh.
So mom goes to the school, and, he can't ride the bus for 2 weeks. Oh, my. That's going to break him down.
Whew.
And that's the end of it, though, Bill. And she can't. If she wants to go to the school, she's trying to get some answers, but they won't say a word to her.
Look at the situation with the parents who get told, okay, now you have a do not contact order, which is one of the things they do in Ontario, right? It's unbelievable. Okay, you know what we'll do? We'll put a link to the book and to your website on our show notes page for anybody that wants to delve a little deeper. Ed, I really appreciate you joining us on our conversation today. It's been great having you here.